Originally, when I was planning a solo trip for myself, I thought I would just spend a week in Vancouver and call it that, because I had already been to a few big cities by myself before, and it seemed like an easy choice. But the more I thought about and imagined myself only going to Vancouver, the more unsatisfied I felt. You see, there's somewhere in Canada I've been wanting to go for a very long time, and the thought of going there alone both thrilled me and terrified me at the same time. And that's how I knew I had to do it. I think when things feel uncomfortable or scary, we tend to shy away. But lately, I've been trying to ask myself the question, what happens if I lean into the discomfort instead of running away? I think back when I was traveling alone at 19 years old, the world felt so fresh and exhilarating. And now it seems like everything outside of my comfort zone scares me.
I'm hushing the dog on the chain. I'm running up stones on the edge of the bank. Rally the troops for another refrain. I sing this softly to myself. I sing this softly to myself.
So the whole reason I decided to go on this trip was because a year ago, I went on a backpacking trip that sort of took a turn for the worst when I got sick with dehydration. And ever since then, I've had a huge aversion to hiking, and I didn't even realize that until my friends pointed it out to me. I kind of decided that the only way I would enjoy hiking again was if I showed myself that it didn't have to be so scary, and that it could be beautiful and rewarding and challenging all at the same time.
We were young and we were free and running, never bothered about what could be coming. Every day we danced and life was smiling. We were young and drunk in love.
I just hiked Little Beehive in Lake Louise, and the view behind me is so gorgeous. It's just so quiet and still up here. The hike was pretty challenging for me because I haven't hiked in a while, but I knew it wasn't like a super hard hike. It was just all uphill, so it really got my heart racing, but it was pretty short and so worth it. The entire time I was just reminding myself, like, I can just breathe the whole way through and things will be okay.
I'm buried beneath the sand. There's no way to speak or reach out my hand. Watching the paper slowly unfold, bracing for news that I can't bear to hold. While I'm singing this song to myself, I sing this softly to myself.
I decided to spend my last full day in Banff enjoying the sights and taking things slow. I spent a lot of time journaling and reflecting on the things I learned during this brief solo trip. When I started off the trip in Vancouver, I was feeling pretty hesitant to go out in the city and even to just explore around. But by the time I arrived in Banff, it felt like my shell had been cracked open slightly, and I was open to the world again for just a brief moment. I I just got back to my hostel room, and this is the first time that I've been in this room and it's been completely empty. Every single other time I've came in, there's been someone else in here. So I'm happy to have just a little moment of solitude before I pack up and leave, because I need to check out real soon. And then I go to the airport in like 2 hours and have a long travel day. But yesterday I was journaling at Moraine Lake and just kind of sitting there and taking in the sights. And I wanted to read to you just a little bit that I wrote in my journal. I feel like this is such a nice way to close off the trip, is just to reflect on everything I've learned and all the ways that I've changed and grown, because there have been many. I started off by writing, "The measure of a good time isn't how many cool photos I take, epic shots that I get, or how impressive the trip looks to other people. The measure of a good trip is how I felt, how I grew, how I challenged myself, and how I responded to those challenges. Essentially, it's how much I learned." I think that it's up to the circumstances whether I have a good time or not, but that's not true. It's up to me whether I have a good time. I get to choose what I make of each situation. I think there were a lot of times on this trip where I was like, wow, I'm not a good planner, or I didn't prepare enough, or things just aren't working out how I wanted them to. And I really had to like take a step back and remind myself that I don't need to attach a story to anything, and that I can still have a good time even if I'm not following a very detailed itinerary, and even if I'm not checking things off of a checklist. I still get to decide like what I make of each thing that I am experiencing. And that concludes my trip to Canada. I'm excited to go back home. Bye.